Displaying a marker on a map is useful, but we want users to be able to interact with it and get more information about the point of interest. This is why info windows were created. An info window is just a pop-up that contains HTML or plain text and can be triggered when a user clicks on a marker. In this lesson, you will learn how to create an info window, create and style the HTML content for the window, and then associate the info window with a marker click event. So we're starting with the code that we used in the previous lesson, and we have a marker, the airplane, here on the map, the custom marker. So what we want to do is attach an info window. So when a user clicks on the airplane, it pops up with an info window displaying information of interest. In this case, airport arrival and departure statistics. So what we want to do is go into our load map function, and where we've created this new marker, now what we want to do is attach an info window to it. And to do that, let's create a function called addInfoWindow and pass the marker into it. So what this will do is it'll bind the info window to the marker and then allow us to attach a click handler, so when the user clicks on the marker, it'll fire this info window. So let's go down here and define that function. And it's going to take, remember, the marker. So the next thing is to create a new info window object. And we're going to save that to the variable info window. So new google.maps.info window. And we're going to pass in a set of parameters to configure the info window. The first parameter is the content that we want to send to the info window. For now, we'll just send some text. In a minute, we'll discuss how to add HTML to this. Next, let's talk about a couple of the options that are available. The first is disable auto pan. And that parameter, if it's set to false, and the info window is opened so it's off of the map, it'll pan the map so you can get a full view of the info window. For now, we're going to set that to false. The next parameter is the max width, and that sets the max width of the info window itself in pixels. So let's set that to 300. And the final parameter is the z-index. The z-index is used in order to determine the priority of the overlays. So if you have multiple info windows that are overlaid on top of each other, you can set the one that appears on the top or set the ordering that they appear. Since we're only using a single info window, we'll just set the overlaying to 1. Okay, so now we've created info window. And now we want to attach a click handler to the marker so that when someone clicks on the marker, it will pop up the info window and display it. To add the click listener, we're going to attach the add listener function to the marker and associate with a click. So we will use google.maps.event.add_listener, and we'll pass in the marker. We'll associate it with a click event, create a function that's going to get executed on that click event. Now what we need to do inside this function is open the info window. So we're going to use the info window variable we defined above and call the open method. And that method takes the map and the marker you want to bind to. So let's go ahead and save that and try it out. So now when I click on the airplane, you see the info window pop up and you see JFK Airport, which is the content that I provided. So now let's add some HTML content to the info window and style it so it looks good. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut and paste in some content that I've created already. The content is based on data we want to display for the course project. For each U.S. airport, we'll be showing the on-time arrivals, departures, and total number of flights for the month of December 2014. So in the info window, I want to show the average on-time percentage along with individual percentages for the arrival and departures. I also want to include the airport code, city and state, and coordinate location. I've wrapped all the content in a div so that I can control the height, width, and formatting of the content. Then I've assigned classes to each of the data elements so I can control margin, padding, font size, and color. Let's save this and take a look at the info window content without any styling applied. So here's the info window content without any styling. And you can see it has all the information that we need, but it doesn't really highlight information of interest for the user. So let's apply some styling to the content. If you take a look at styles.css, you can take a closer look at the styles I've created for each of the elements. This is standard HTML CSS, so you can apply all your normal techniques to the content in the info window. In the course project lesson, which is lesson 7, we will take a closer look at the information, presentation, and styling. But for now, let's focus on adding this HTML content to the info window. Now that we've replaced the info window content, let's save this and take a look at how the info window looks. So go over here and click on the marker. And wow, now that content really pops out now. And it provides an easy visual for the user to get information of interest quickly. Let's wrap up this lesson by discussing how you can force a click event trigger to occur to open an info window. I've found this is particularly useful if you want to open an info window automatically on load or after a search. By automatically triggering the info window, you can highlight the information about a point of interest without forcing the user to have to click on a marker. So to do this, we're going to go back up to where we created where we called the add info window. Google has an event trigger method that we're going to take advantage of to do this. So we'll call google.maps.event.trigger. And the trigger method takes 2 parameters. We're going to pass in the marker and the event we want to call on that marker. So we're going to call the click. So we want to call a click event on that marker. Let's save that. So you can see now that that's reloaded. Once it's loaded up, it triggered that event, and so it automatically opened the info window on load. So this is particularly useful if you want to highlight information such as an info window on load as opposed to when the user clicks on a particular marker. In this lesson, you learned how to display an info window with styled HTML content and trigger the info window based on a click event or trigger.